From the moment I was born, I was raised to be a straight Jewish doctor. Much to my parents' chagrin, I grew up to be a gay Buddhist actor-writer who makes about as stable a living as a toothbrush. Years before I came out to my mom that I was gay, I came out to her that I wanted to be an actor. After I told her about my interest, she encouraged me to be the best, saying, "Great, so one day we'll see your name in lights. Dr. Michael Jeffrey Feldman." My mom has a hard time letting go. There was always a lot riding on my existence. I'm an only child and not by choice. When I was 4, my mother had a miscarriage. I don't know anything about it, my parents never talk about it, just that it happened and that my dad took me to see a Care Bears movie that day. Literally every time I ask them about it, it's just, "Yeah, it was horrible, your father took you to see the Care Bears." Now whenever I see or hear a reference to the Care Bears, I think of the sibling that never was. It was around this time that my mom had developed a very specific reaction to the things that were happening in her life. It started with my parents' bedroom. Against the walls, piles of stuff were forming and growing. The stuff was mostly made up of clothes, but there was also a lot of books and photo albums, trinkets of various sizes, gifts that were never opened, stuff. My mom had made a clear decision, even if it was subconscious. If she couldn't have another child, she was going to have stuff. There were no reality rehabilitation shows at the time. This was before A&E's Hoarders or TLC's Buried Alive, so there wasn't a visual cue for what my parents' bedroom really was. I always thought they were just messy. I welcomed this stuff with open arms. It was, after all, taking the place of a sibling. I even had a name for it, Marjorie. For those of you who remember the TV show Fraggle Rock, Marjorie was a large, matronly, sentient compost heap who would freely offer guidance and advice to the Fraggles. So I treated the piles of stuff in my parents' bedroom as such, and would often climb on top and pretend that the stuff was giving me sage advice. Whenever friends came over to the apartment, I would sneak them into my parents' bedroom to get a glimpse of the domestic freak show. I know it's very hard to imagine, but I was unpopular in junior high. Marjorie allowed me to be one of the cool kids, if just for a moment. Soon the stuff became the talk of the town. "Have you seen Michael's parents' bedroom? They live like monsters. You gotta see it." Selling out my parents' issues was a specialty of mine. A specialty that I clearly hold on to this very day. My dad's penchant for never wanting to clean, mixed with his habit of pretending problems don't exist, continues to make him the perfect enabler for my mom's stuff addiction. He's a collector too, which just helps nourish and grow the stuff. He collects stamps, lighthouse replicas, maps, and National Geographics. I had my own contributions to the stuff by enjoying collecting things like instructions on bread making and Swarovski crystals figurines. But that's the subject of another essay entitled, "How Did My Parents Not Know?" Coming to a Taboo Tales near. My relationship to this stuff changed pretty dramatically as I began puberty. I must preface what I'm about to say with telling you that I started masturbating at a very young age when I had no idea what I was doing. In other words, please forgive me, I'm about to tell you that I fucked the stuff. When I saw a commercial featuring a guy buried in sand up to his neck, only his head showing on the beach. When I was left alone in the house, I would get butt naked and climb into a large pile of the stuff up to my neck and start masturbating. That's right, I masturbated in my mom's hoarding pile, which I named Marjorie, and previously treated it as if it were my younger sibling. This is the Jewish masturbator taboo technique. As the years progressed, Marjorie got larger and larger, and the pathways in our apartment got narrower and narrower. By the time I was in high school, the stuff had fully metastasized to my parents' bedroom, and even started taking up residency in the hallway to the bathroom, the living room, and the kitchen. Soon nobody was coming over to the apartment anymore. If I saw friends, it was at their house. Holidays got smaller as fewer and fewer family members could bear being in the presence of Marjorie. The first time I visited home from college, I found that my parents were sleeping on the couch in the living room. They could no longer sleep in their bedroom. There was no room. Stuff took their place. You see, my parents had discovered Costco, aka a hoarder's wet dream. And my bedroom had transformed into a landfill for Kirkland's signature brand snacks and cleaning supplies. It appeared that stuff had taken my place too. I left for Europe the summer after my freshman year of college in order to find myself, which is a fancier way of saying I'm gonna go have gay sex somewhere far away from my parents. It's ironic to think back now about how I left New York City in order to have a gay experience. Sure enough, I found myself in a dingy, dirty dive bar in the gay section of Madrid, Spain. 10 minutes after I walked in, a man started speaking to me. I would stay with him the entire night. I didn't yet understand the concept of discernment. I thought you just take whatever says hello to you first. He didn't speak a word of English, I didn't speak a word of Spanish, but somehow we stuck with each other the entire night. At one point he brought me downstairs and into the bathroom stall and gave me my first blowjob, which was less a blowjob and more of a putting his mouth around my flaccid penis. I was too nervous to get an erection, and too neurotic to just let it go. So I tried to explain. The one phrase I knew was "Yo no hablo español," which I knew meant I don't speak Spanish. So I knew "yo" meant I, so I explained, "It's not you, it's yo." I've never heard that one, Rahul. I can't even imagine what he thought. Getting back from Europe, I dropped a receipt out of my wallet. My mom asked if I'd like to hold on to it. No, just throw it out. Throw it out? What are you, crazy? But it's a receipt. Well, it's a memory. It's a receipt. Come on, put it in your scrapbook. I don't have a scrapbook. Well, you should. Why are you forcing me to scrapbook? How else are you going to remember what you've been through? Oh, do you scrapbook? I have all the materials. I just need the time to put it all together. Don't be smart. My relationship to this stuff was changing. I grew to resent it and wanted it gone. My father was no help. Several times I would tell him, why don't you just throw some stuff out here and there when she's not looking? He would say, I just think, would I like that done to me? It's a great intervention. Not 2 years later, I came out to my mom at the Sheepshead Bay Diner in Brooklyn. She immediately started crying her heart out. It was devastating and very awkward in that everyone in the diner probably thought I was breaking up with my mom. And after she took it all in, her first words were, so, you're like Madonna. What? Madonna fooled around for a while and then ended up getting married, so maybe it's just a phase. It's not a phase. Well, you like Madonna. Find whatever helps you cope. I'm like Madonna. She continued to cry, and although it hurt, I knew that she needed that emotional release. That day, my mom lost a lot. She lost her perception of her only son. She lost the projected belief that one day she would have lots of Jewish grandchildren. She couldn't yet conceive the thought that her son might one day adopt a little Asian girl. This was years before Modern Family prepared the baby boomer generation for such edgy different things. In a way, that day my mom was forced to let go of all these things that she held so dear. But as I said, my mom has a hard time letting go. My mom's refusal to deal with the stuff continues to this day. And why not? Stuff doesn't change. Stuff won't suddenly shatter your lifelong dream of having a Jewish doctor son. Stuff won't leave for college one day. Stuff is around until you let go of it. And that's the hardest part. Because in a weird way, my mom is absolutely right. It's not a receipt. It's a receipt for a drink I got the same night I got my first blowjob from a dude. My mom may very well never let go, but who am I to judge? There's a part of me that still hasn't let go of the notion that I'm constantly letting her down. Every step of the way, my life hasn't lived up to her expectations. If only Marjorie the hoarding pile could offer me sage advice. But alas, she would never do that. After all, I came inside her several times without her permission.